I'm Sarah. Teaching vocal lessons is what gets me up in the morning. At 42, I've seen my share of bright-eyed kids dreaming of the big stage. But it was Emma who brought a twist to my tale. 14, with a voice that needed work but had potential. It was her dad, Jack, though, who flipped my world. "Miss Sarah, my dad's here to pick me up," Emma announced one day, her voice cutting through my thoughts like a sharp knife. I glanced up, expecting the usual parent. But there stood Jack. Not what I expected. Tall, with a look of someone who's seen stuff, but kept standing. "Hi, I'm Jack. Emma's been going on about her lessons. You must be Sarah." His voice was straightforward, no frills. I liked that. "Yeah, that's me. Emma's got talent. Just needs a bit more push," I said, offering my hand. His handshake was firm, honest. "Appreciate you helping her out. I'm clueless about this stuff." Her mom was the singer. I caught the past tense. "I'm sorry," I said, the standard response, but his nod told me he'd heard it a million times. "No worries. We're managing. Aren't we, Em?" His look towards Emma was full of that silent communication only parents and kids have. Emma rolled her eyes, the universal kid signal for parents, right, but smiled. "Yeah, we're good." The conversation should have ended there, but Jack lingered. "You know, I'm trying to get her more into music. Keep her busy. Her brother too, Alex. Kid's a ball of energy." I laughed. Music's a great outlet. Keeps them focused on something positive. "Exactly," Jack agreed. "Hey, you ever do group lessons? Or something for a hyper 13-year-old who thinks he's the next big thing?" I shrugged. I can handle 13-year-olds. "Bring him by. We'll see if music or noise is his thing." Jack chuckled, and that sound did funny things to my stomach. "Deal. I'll bring him next time." "Thanks, Sarah." As they left, I shook my head, dismissing the fluttery feeling. Jack was just a dad, a widower, trying to raise his kids right. Nothing more. But life, as I found out, loves throwing curveballs. Jack started showing up more, sometimes with Alex, sometimes alone under the pretext of discussing Emma's progress. We'd chat, and those chats started veering off music more often than not. One day, as autumn painted the world in hues of gold and crimson, Jack turned to me, a half-smile on his face. "Sarah, would you consider going out with me? Like, a date?" I blinked, surprised. "A date?" "Yeah," he said, his voice firmer than his casual stance suggested. "I like talking to you. The kids like you. And I want to see where this could go." It was unexpected, this shift from casual chats to the possibility of something more. But looking into Jack's earnest eyes, I felt a pull, an interest I hadn't felt in a long time. "Okay, Jack. Let's see where this goes," I found myself saying, a smile breaking through my usual reserve. Merging into Jack's world was like stepping onto a stage without a rehearsal. Emma was easy, music was our language. Alex, though, was a different beat, skeptical of a new woman in his dad's life, protective of his sister and the memory of his mom. And then there was Mary, Jack's mom, a matriarch with warmth and sharpness all rolled into one. The day Jack introduced me to Alex, the kid sized me up like I was a new recruit. "So, you're the music teacher," Alex said, crossing his arms, his eyes narrowed. It wasn't unfriendly, but it wasn't open arms either. "That's me. And you must be the next big thing in music, from what I've heard," I shot back, trying to break the ice with a smile. He cracked a grin, the skepticism in his eyes softening a bit. "Maybe. Guess we'll see if you're any good." "Challenge accepted," I said, and from there, things started to ease into a rhythm. Alex had energy for days and a curious mind. He didn't take to music like Emma, but he respected the passion behind it. Meeting Mary was another story. She had a reputation for being tough as nails, with a heart of gold hidden somewhere beneath. Walking into her house for the first time, I was greeted with a scrutinizing gaze that could make a seasoned performer sweat. "You're Sarah. Heard a lot about you," she started, her voice firm but not unkind. "Good things, I hope," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. She chuckled, a sound that carried both warmth and a hint of challenge. "Depends on who you ask. Sit down. Let's see if you pass the test." The afternoon unfolded with conversations that swung from blunt to deeply personal. Mary didn't hold back, asking about my intentions with her son, my thoughts on family, and my ambitions. It was like a verbal sparring match, but beneath her tough exterior, I saw glimpses of the love she had for her family. "Jack's been through a lot. The kids, too. They need stability, not just another person passing through," Mary said, locking eyes with me. "I'm not here for a temporary gig, Mary. I care about them. About Jack. I'm in this," I responded, my voice carrying a conviction I felt deep in my bones. She studied me for a moment longer, then nodded, as if I'd passed some unspoken test. "Good. They could use someone like you. Just remember, kids and Jack come first. Always." "Always," I echoed, understanding the weight of her words. As months turned into a year, my bond with Jack's family deepened. Emma and Alex, each in their own way, started to let me in. We had our moments, disagreements, misunderstandings, the usual family dynamics, but underneath it all was a growing sense of belonging. Jack's proposal came on a quiet evening, after a day filled with laughter and music. It was simple, no grand gestures, just him and me, and a question that promised a new chapter. "Sarah, I've seen you with the kids, with my mom, with me. You've become a part of us, a part we didn't even know was missing. Marry me? Let's make this official." I looked at him, at the man who had become my unexpected harmony, and without a moment's hesitation, I said, "Yes." The wedding was small, an intimate affair with those who mattered most. Mary, despite her tough exterior, shed a few tears, whispering, "Take care of them, Sarah. You're family now." And as I looked around at my new family, Jack, Emma, Alex, and Mary, I realized I wasn't just stepping into their lives, we were creating a new melody together. One that had its dissonances, but was ours, uniquely beautiful in its complexity. Life with Jack and the kids had settled into a sort of comfortable routine, filled with school runs, music lessons, and family dinners. But as life tends to do, it threw us a curveball that changed everything. Mary's health took a nosedive, leaving her paralyzed and in need of constant care. Jack decided the best thing was to move her into our home. It made sense, but I don't think any of us were truly prepared for the impact it would have. From the get-go, the weight of caring for Mary fell heavily on my shoulders. Jack was caught up with work, and the kids, well, they were still kids. I didn't mind at first, Mary was family, after all. But as time went on, the strain began to show. One particularly tough day, after a grueling session of trying to get Mary comfortable and dealing with a mountain of household chores, I sat down at the kitchen table, feeling utterly defeated. Mary had been particularly difficult, refusing to eat or take her medication, and Jack had been no help, locked away in his office. I was so lost in my thoughts that I didn't hear Jack come in. He stood there, watching me, an unreadable expression on his face. "Sarah, we need to talk," he said, his voice void of the warmth it once held. I braced myself, knowing this conversation wouldn't be good. "What's up?" "It's about my mom. And you. You seem off lately. Not handling things as well as you used to." I stared at him, incredulous. "Off? Jack, I'm doing everything I can. I'm tired. I'm stressed. I'm trying to be there for your mom, for the kids, for you. And it's never enough." He took a step back, as if my words were physical blows. "I know you're trying, but it's not just about effort, Sarah. It's about results. And right now, we're not seeing them." His words were like a slap in the face. "Results? As if I was just another employee failing to meet my targets, not his wife, struggling to keep our family together. Years rolled by, each one more challenging than the last. Mary's condition didn't improve, and my relationship with Jack and the kids, especially as they grew into adults, became more strained. The once vibrant connection I shared with Emma and Alex, built on music and mutual respect, faded into polite indifference. Then Mary passed away. It was a difficult time for all of us, a period marked by grief and reflection. I thought, naively, that maybe this would bring us closer, that shared sorrow would mend the cracks in our family. But I was wrong. After the funeral, things took a turn for the worse. Jack's demeanor changed overnight. The man who once looked at me with love and gratitude now regarded me with disdain. "You're just not the same anymore, Sarah," Jack snapped one evening, his words laced with a bitterness that caught me off guard. "You've let yourself go. You're old, you're ugly. I'm tired of you." I stood there, shocked. His harsh words felt like a physical blow, leaving me speechless and hurt. "Jack, how can you say that? After everything?" I started, but he cut me off. "Everything? You mean taking care of my kids and my mother? That was your job, Sarah. I tolerated you because you did the chores, nothing more." His words were like a knife, twisting deeper with each syllable. And the kids, now adults, weren't any better. Emma, once my closest ally, turned cold. "You really have no one but us, and you're pushing even us away. You're just a lonely, useless woman," she said, her voice void of the warmth it once held. Alex was no kinder, seizing every opportunity to belittle me. "You should be grateful we even let you stay here," he sneered whenever he passed me in the hall. I couldn't believe these were the same people I had loved and cared for, had considered my family. The transformation was stark, their contempt for me a constant reminder of how much had changed. It wasn't just the emotional toll, my body began to betray me too. My legs, once strong and sure, now ached with a pain that made every step a chore. The doctor's words were clinical, detached, but they hit hard. "It's chronic," he said, scribbling something on his pad. "You'll need to manage it, adjust your activities." Adjust my activities. As if my life wasn't already a series of adjustments, concessions to a family that saw me as nothing more than a burden. One day, as I struggled to stand after a long bout of cleaning, Jack walked in, his eyes scanning the room, always looking for something to criticize. "What's wrong with you now?" he asked, his voice dripping with impatience. I tried to steady myself, to push past the pain. "My legs," I started. "They've been really bad today," the doctor said. He cut me off with a wave of his hand, a dismissive gesture that felt like a slap. "Always something with you, isn't it? Can't even rely on you to do the basic chores around here without making a big deal out of it." Teaching at the private school, my passion and my escape, became impossible. Jack's reaction to my diagnosis was as cold as ice. "So, what? You're just going to sit around all day now? Great, another mouth to feed without any use," he sneered the day I told him about my condition, his words cutting deeper than the sharp pain in my legs. I wanted to scream, to tell him how much he was hurting me, but I knew it would only make things worse. So, I bit back the pain and the tears, trying to find some way to navigate this new reality. Living in Jack's house became a daily reminder of my dependence. I was reduced to limping around, trying to keep the house in order, cooking meals that were often met with criticism or indifference. The pain was constant, a sharp reminder of my predicament, but I pushed through, terrified of what would happen if I stopped. Jack and the kids lived as if nothing had changed, as if my struggles were just a minor inconvenience to their lives. The inheritance from Mary's passing seemed to ignite a spending spree, new gadgets, clothes, jewelry, all flaunted in front of me as if to underscore my exclusion from their lives. "You should be grateful we're keeping you around," Jack would say, a cruel smile playing on his lips. "Without us, you'd be on the street. Remember that." Emma and Alex took their cues from their father, treating me more like an unwanted servant than a stepmother. "Don't forget to wash my new jeans, Sarah. Wouldn't want them ruined like you ruin everything else," Emma would toss over her shoulder, her words sharp as knives. Alex was no better. "Make sure dinner's on time tonight. We've got places to be, and we can't wait around for you to limp around the kitchen," he'd say, his disdain barely veiled. I harbored fantasies of leaving, of finding some way to reclaim my independence and dignity. But the reality was harsh. With no income, no savings, and a body that betrayed me at every turn, I was stuck. My dreams of escape seemed just that, dreams, distant and unattainable. In the midst of my lowest point, feeling trapped and useless, I stumbled upon something that sparked a flicker of hope in me. It was during one of those long, sleepless nights, scrolling aimlessly through the internet on my old, barely functioning laptop. I found a forum for vocal teachers giving online lessons. The idea struck me like a lightning bolt. The next day, with the house empty and my heart pounding with a mix of excitement and fear, I set up a makeshift studio in the corner of my room. I wasn't sure if anyone would be interested, but I had to try. I recorded a simple introduction video, my voice shaky but determined, and posted it online. To my astonishment, inquiries started coming in. People were interested in learning from me, despite my physical limitations. For the first time in what felt like forever, I felt valued for my skills and knowledge. Jack and the kids noticed the change in me, but didn't know the cause. "What's got into you?" Jack asked one evening, his tone suspicious as he caught me humming while preparing dinner. "Just feeling a bit better today," I replied, keeping my eyes on the task at hand, hiding the fear that he would disapprove or, worse, try to stop me. He snorted, dismissing my response. "Well, don't get too happy. You've still got your duties around here." I nodded, my heart sinking, but I didn't let his words deter me. The hours I spent teaching online became my sanctuary, a place where I could be myself, share my love for music, and forget, even if just for a little while, the pain and humiliation I endured daily. I invested the little money I made from teaching into better equipment, slowly but surely building my online presence. The physical pain was still there, a constant reminder of my limitations, but when I was teaching, it receded into the background, overshadowed by the joy of connecting with my students. As the months went by, I took a moment to look at the numbers, something I had been avoiding, afraid to jinx it. But there it was, clear as day on my screen. I was making money. Real money. More than I ever made teaching at the private school. More than I ever thought possible from the confines of this oppressive house. And shockingly, more than Jack made with his so-called prestigious job. I remember sitting there, staring at the figures, a mix of disbelief and triumph washing over me. For so long, I had felt like a burden, a financial leech in Jack's eyes, but here I was, earning my own way, and not just scraping by but actually doing better than him. For a moment, I let myself bask in the success, allowing the numbers to speak for themselves. I was doing this. I was making it happen, despite everything that had been thrown my way. It was a silent victory, one I couldn't share with anyone in the house, but it was mine all the same. The betrayal that came was not just a single moment of cruelty, but a culmination of years of disregard and contempt, crystallized into one devastating dinner conversation. There we were, sitting around the table, me serving them as I always did, when Jack decided to drop his bombshell with a smirk that I had come to loathe. "I got promoted at work," he started, and for a brief, foolish moment, I thought maybe this was good news, something positive for once. But then he continued. "So, I bought a new house. A better one, fitting for my status." That's when the air around me grew cold, my hands stilled, the plate I was holding nearly slipping from my grasp. Before I could even muster a congratulations, he landed his cruel blow. "And I'll be moving there with the kids." "Not you. You're not coming." His words were like a slap, but the mocking laugh that followed was a knife to the heart. "I mean, come on, Sarah. Did you really think you'd fit in? An old limp like you? No, it's time I found someone younger, more suitable. The laughter that erupted from Emma cut even deeper. Yeah, and guess what? This old house? Sold. Enjoy the streets, Sarah. I stood there, frozen, as he slid the divorce papers across the table. The audacity, the sheer coldness of it all, was staggering. Yet, as I looked at those papers, something within me refused to break. I didn't cry, didn't plead. I simply signed them, each stroke of my name a silent vow to myself. When morning came, I was ready. Jack and the kids watched with a mix of surprise and that familiar contempt as I hauled my bags to the door. Their parting words were meant to wound, to kick me when I was down. Hope you like the Flophouses, Sarah, Jack sneered, a cruel smile playing on his lips. But I walked out of that house with my head held high, the weight of their insults falling away with each step I took. For the first time in years, I felt a sense of freedom, a clarity that had been missing from my life. Settling into my new rented apartment was like breathing fresh air for the first time in years. It was my space, my sanctuary, where I could dive into my online vocal teaching without looking over my shoulder. Hearing from friends, I found out Jack had moved into that fancy new house with the kids. True to form, instead of being smart with the money from the old house, they blew it on all sorts of nonsense. Typical. That's when I decided to play my hand. Over the years, I'd saved voicemails and recorded moments of their verbal lashings, a dark library of the abuse I suffered. Without a second thought, I sent them off to Jack's boss. It felt like releasing doves into a storm, but these birds carried grenades. The call I got from Jack after was music to my ears, but not the kind I usually taught. Sarah, what have you done? He screamed into the phone, his voice a mix of rage and panic. They're demoting me, cutting my salary. How could you? In the background, I could hear Emma and Alex, their voices shrill, hurling insults my way. But their words felt distant, inconsequential. Oh, Jack, I said, a laugh bubbling up. Looks like you're the one who might end up without a roof over your head. Meanwhile, I'm here, thinking about buying my own place. How the tables have turned. The silence that followed was sweet, filled with their disbelief and shock. Then Jack, ever the beggar now, started his plea. Sarah, please, you have to help us. We could lose the house. The kids, think about the kids. We'll take you back, I swear. We'll do anything. Hearing them grovel, offering to take me back as if they were doing me a favor, was the cherry on top. Take me back? To be your maid again? No, thanks. I've got better things to do. Hanging up the phone, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders, a final closure to a chapter of my life that had brought me nothing but pain. They were desperate, flailing in the mess they'd made, and for once, I wasn't there to clean it up. Through the grapevine, friends let slip that Jack, along with Emma and Alex, had been evicted. Couldn't keep up with the mortgage, they said. Now, they were crammed into some small apartment, the kids juggling jobs to make ends meet. The twist of fate wasn't lost on me. After everything they put me through, there was a bitter taste of justice in the air. Can you believe it? I mused aloud during a call with one of my closest friends from the teaching community, Lena. Jack and the kids, scrambling to keep a roof over their heads. After all that talk about me ending up in a flop house. Lena's laugh crackled through the phone. Karma's a real kicker, ain't it? You, on the other hand, are living proof that what goes around comes around. You're doing amazing, Sarah. Then came the opportunity of a lifetime. A well-known music school reached out, having heard of my teaching success. They offered me a position, not just as a teacher, but as a coordinator, for their online program. It was more than a job, it was recognition, a chance to influence and inspire on a scale I had never imagined. As I sat down to sign the contract, a wave of gratitude washed over me. To think, not so long ago, I was convinced my life had crumbled beyond repair. And now, here I was, signing a contract that was not just a job offer, but a symbol of my journey from darkness into light. The celebration that night was simple, just me and a few close friends I had made along the way, including Lena, who had quickly become a pillar of support and friendship. As we raised our glasses in a toast, Lena leaned over and whispered, "You're an inspiration, Sarah. You've turned your life into a symphony of success." Her words struck a chord, and I found myself overwhelmed with emotion. "Thank you, Lena. It's been quite the journey. But you know what? I wouldn't change a thing. The hardships, the pain, it all led me here, to this moment, to a life I can be proud of." As the night wore on, filled with music and laughter, I realized that this was more than just a new chapter. It was a whole new book, a story of triumph over adversity, of finding harmony in the chaos.